Welcome, everyone. So in the last class, we focused on throat chakra, neck, throat, the center of creative expression, communication, truthfulness, honesty, integrity, whether or not we're speaking up, whether or not we're really deeply listening to our higher self or inner voice, whether or not we're listening to the feedback from the body, and all of that jazz. I'm not doing that in this class, though. We're going to be more against the wall today. Today is a new moon, and it's a new moon in Pisces. Pisces is sensitive, creative, intuitive. It's ruled by the planet Venus. And Venus rules arts, beauty, love, creative expression as well. And Venus is being exalted right now. So I thought, because it was a new moon and energy is lower typically at this time, that we would be more against the wall. And we would be more gentle than doing, say, the gentle flow. We're still going to do a flow, but just changing it up. Also because I was with Debbie yesterday in a workshop here, and we were both saying how we love the wall work, and she hasn't been getting as much wall work lately, and I didn't know that she was going to stay for this class. I knew she was coming to Blissful, so I'm glad she's staying, because I was thinking about you in our conversation actually when I wanted to do the wall for gentle. I want us to start off with what I feel like is the best pose at the wall, which just legs up the wall. Now, with that being said, I think everybody knows how to get into it, but I'm going to show you a couple things really quick. If you have a blanket and fold it up long ways in half, it's kind of like a mini bolster, right? Not as thick as you can see as the bolster, but you may feel like you need that underneath your low back. I feel great without anything under my low back, but each of us are different, and each of us are going to be getting different and getting feedback from the body. So be honest with what you need for your practice. So if you come to the corner of the mat, and don't get into it yet, please, because I want to give you a visual of something else. You'll roll back and send the legs up, right? But sometimes I'll walk around and I see people like this. Do you see how my torso is crooked? So make sure, you can use your hands to lift your head up and just make sure that you're lining everything up properly. So if your sit bones are flush to the wall, make sure that you're not having to bend the knees. If you're having to bend the knees, just shimmy back and give yourself some space. Now, the second pose we're going to be going into is that tree front pose. The third pose we'll be going into at the wall will be the ankle over the knee and sliding the foot down. So if you're really flush to the wall, at that point when we're going into that pose, you may even want to create that space so that you can cross the ankle and slide the foot down. It may feel better for you because we do want to keep the low back more anchored down to the floor. Now coming back to that blanket. So if you're coming into this pose here and you feel like you're having to put your hands up underneath your back, that's usually a telltale sign that you need some propping, some support. So you can bend your knees, push the feet into the wall to tuck and lift, slide it underneath, and then come back, and it may make your back feel better. So let's go ahead and get into it. Legs up the wall, please. Vaparita Karani. And determine whether or not you need that space and distance between your sits bones and that surface. And then check in with your torso to make sure you're lining it up that you're not crooked or leaning to one side. And then go ahead and put the dorsiflexion through your ankle. So in other words, you're pumping your heels skyward. Feeling the toes downward a moment. And as you feel the toes down, think about the padded area at the root of the big toe bound, we call it, and see if you can press it upward towards the ceiling. Just to get a little bit of muscular activity to start with. And even look at your legs. Are they leaning left or right? Can they be parallel with one another? And then go ahead and soften your ankles, your feet, and your toes. And then discover, how do you want to lay out your arms? Beside you, on top of you, above you. And I'll let you determine what is best from what you're sensing inside. This new moon in Pisces is at 1 degree. And the 1 in numerology represents new beginnings, and a new moon is always welcoming in new starts and new beginnings. However, Pisces is at the end of the zodiac. So there may be endings as you're experiencing beginnings. The endings and beginnings may be merging together or happening all at once or through this next energy cycle. This is said to be a time of great potential, of spiritual renewal, and a time to set your intentions to align with your highest truth. Take a few rounds of yogic breathing. Deep diaphragmatic breaths. Closing and shielding the eyes. Staying connected to this present moment. This pose is a calming pose. And it can even provide sleep aid. It's cleansing for circulation, aiding to the heart. It can help to bring some blood flow to the abdominal region. Continue to relax and breathe. Your thoughts minimize. Your emotions neutralize. Count your next 7 breaths. To complete the 7, we're going to take your feet wider than hip distance, like you're forming a V shape, not terribly wide, but not too narrow either. And then slide the feet down the wall. Turn the toes out and let your knees flop apart. Now, even though the knees are flopping open, you're not trying to roll to the pinky toe side of the foot. The feet are still flat to the surface. And bring your hands to rest on your belly. Continue to control your breath. One of the things we're training ourselves for here is to become the master of the breath. Trying to increase that intake of oxygen into the lungs. We're trying to expand our lung capacity. Because this is the new moon in Pisces and it's ruled by Venus, this is about desires and dreams. So just maybe today, instead of trying to completely blank out the mind, if you want to use the power of your imagination, if you want to dream up possibilities, then you can envision that in your mind's eye. Desire stem from this second chakra, the hip region. And so do our creative juices. And if we move it up into the solar plexus, the place of our inner fire, motivation, drive, and passion, Then we can continue to fan those flames up into the heart, the seat of the soul, up to the throat for creative expression. Visioning to help it to materialize from the third eye. Make sure to make a mental note if one or the other hip feels a little locked, restricted, or sensitive. Let's take 3 more breaths here. And then let's bring the feet closer together and slide your left leg back up the wall. And this is where I want you to test it out. If you crossed your right ankle over the left knee and begin to slide the left foot down, do you feel like you're receiving much? Do you feel like your buttocks is about to curl away from the ground? And if that's the case, place your right foot back to the wall, shimmy your body back to create a little bit more distance. Re-straighten the left leg, recross the right ankle over that thigh bone, and then slide the left foot down. So we're doing this half pigeon and allowing the wall to assist. You can even prop your right hand up to the right knee. To relieve any tightness from the hips, because tight hips and tight hamstrings pull on the low back. We're holding these for a period of time. You might even start to notice some energy percolating in the feet. That's due to the energetic pathways that begin or end in that area. Take 3 more breaths. So then let's slide the left foot back up the wall. Take the right foot alongside it and cross the left ankle over the right thigh bone. Slide the foot down the wall. You may automatically notice a difference between the 2 sides, or it may take you a little time to judge that through your observation. Notice where your experience is more pronounced. Is it the inseam of the thigh? Is it in the knee? Is it in the outer hip? Or maybe even showing up in the buttocks? You hold. What are we needing to release and let go of? Your next in breath, let's go ahead and slide the right leg. Uncross that left foot. And then just slide the feet together down the wall, kind of like an Apanasana, a wind release version of the pose. Where the knees are angling right in towards your chest. Obviously, you're in control of how low you want to slide the feet. The higher up they are, the less flexion you will receive. If you need to monitor that flexion. Three more deep breaths. Let's gently roll over to the left lunar side. This allows more space for the liver. And then push down through the right hand to come up. We're going to transfer onto hands and knees for tabletop. So you may want the blanket underneath for extra padding. And as you crawl forward onto the blanket, we're going to be taking the right foot to the wall behind us. And if you can't be on your knees, you can do plank. And then come down and maybe do a cobra. So glance over your right shoulder, first of all. If that right foot is way up, you're probably bowing your back. So slide the foot down so it's in line with your hip. And then push down through your palms to press the floor away from you with your hands. And feel your belly suction in towards your back body. You're pressing the right foot into the wall. Instead of drooping the head down, keep the neck in line with the rest of the spine and see if it's possible to take your left hand away to send it forward and out into the room. It's actually a little harder against the wall. than doing it solo on the back. Good. Exhale, lower your left hand down. Shift your left shin slightly behind your back. Rotate your right foot and the rest of your upper body, and then free up your right hand and send it skyward. So you're doing like a side plank position. Exhale, bring the right hand down and bring the right knee down to join table. And then immediately take your left foot back behind you. Pressing the foot into the surface. Hands pressing down into the floor below. And just being stacked here. If you need a little give in your low back, you can bring that into play. I personally need that core support. When you're ready, lengthen out through the right arm, if it's available. If it's too challenging, just place the hand back down. Balancing on alternate limbs and stretching through alternate limbs. Good. Exhale, bring the right hand down. Shift your right foot back behind you, and then just slowly roll open to your left. Free up your left hand. Free up space for the diaphragm muscle. Breathe here. The name of this pose, side plank, the Sistiasana, is after the yogic stage of the Sisti. And he had a cave that he lived in for a while outside of Rishikesh. Let's go ahead and begin to lower back down into tabletop position. We'll curl the toes under and launch into downward facing dog. In downward facing dog, push the floor away from you with your hands. Lengthen out through your arms, through your back. And it's okay if your knees need to bend here to sail your seat higher. This is all about getting the energy moving upstream into that sacral. Reach the head bow between the arms. Neutral expression on the face. And when you're ready, let's go ahead and walk and travel the hands back towards the feet. Let your feet descend to the mat. And then as you're doubling over, check in with your body, specifically your low back. And then explore your options of being an uttanasana, really rooting the feet with your legs elongated, versus knees being bent and hanging freely. And if it feels better to prop your hands to your shins or thighs, you can also modify that way. Firming here as you hold. Nothing and no one on this earth can hold me down or back. Bracing both the endings and the fresh new beginnings. On the next in-breath, bend the knees, press down through the feet to charge into your legs, and then come all the way up to stand. All right, once you come up to stand, let's move that blanket away. And we're gonna bring the feet forward to the top of the mat. Look down at your feet. Line up ankles under knees, knees underneath the hip points. Draw the thighs and roll them in. Zip up through the belly. Let your heart rise. Let your shoulders hang gently away from your ears, standing in Tadasana. You're standing here properly. You should feel like your inner body is becoming bright. Stacked evenly with your weight on each leg and each foot. Now have your hands facing your legs, and then inhale, sail the arms up alongside your ears. And notice the core engagement when you're lifting up. On the exhalation, we're going to bring the arms back down. And then we're going to spin the hands so the palms are facing forward, anatomical position. And then inhale, we're going to re-lift the arms back up. Feel free to open the arms up a little wider if that feels better for the shoulders. But notice if you're really poking out your bottom ribs. If you are, iron them back down. Feel how this is waking up the core, waking up the back muscles, a different rotation with the shoulders. And then exhale, release the arms. Now turn the back of the hands to face across from you. And then inhale, lift the arms this direction. And again, we're just observing and noticing the feedback we're receiving. What is better for your shoulders? What feels better for your back body? What gives you more freedom? And then exhale, bring your hands into that hip crease. Begin to hinge forward with the straight back. And then if you need to bend the knees all the way down, do so. Make sure you're using that core engagement as you descend back down, relaxing the hands in the direction of the feet and bowing your head again. Uttanasana. Now let's cross the arms. And as you cross your arms, hide the arms so they're not just falling underneath the face, but they're backing up so they're underneath the crown of your head, where it's out of your viewpoint. Notice how it makes the upper body heavier, how it may intensify the work of the hamstrings. Also notice the chest is more open, which means the breath can be more available. And then flip the crossing of the arms. Let's take one more deep breath. And then feel free to plug the feet down to circle the arms up overhead, or feel free to bend the knees, reach the arms forward and up overhead, whatever is best for your practice. And then bring the hands down, palms to the heart. All right, so we're not going to be mirroring each other, but we're going to step back with the right foot. When you step back with the right foot, look at the back foot and then turn it so it's more parallel to the wall behind you instead of angled in. The toes kind of turn away. All right, now float your left arm up. Lean back just a little bit, maybe gaze up underneath that arm if it's comfortable for the neck and the throat. And then as you exhale, you're going to lunge into that front knee. You're going to look down to make sure it doesn't surpass the ankle. Bring that hand to the inside of the shin, reach the right arm overhead. Really push hard through your back foot. And then inhale, use your legs to come up. Reach that left arm skyward, look up underneath. Old school version triangle, and then exhale into this variation, front knee lunging. Hand resting to the inside of the shin, right arm radiating up. And then one more set. Inhale, push down through the feet to climb up to the top, maybe even gazing up. And then exhale, bring it back down. A really strong, deep yogic breath here. And then inhale, come back up. Good. When you're ready, step the back foot forward, and we're going to step the left foot back behind. When that foot automatically steps back, the toes are going to be turned in at an angle, and now make the foot more parallel to the wall. Sail the right arm sky. Maybe gaze up underneath. Exhale, lunge that right knee, stack it over the ankle. Bring the hand to the inside, and left arm reaching up towards the sky. Good. Inhale, powerful legs and feet to draw you up. Exhale to bring you down. Inhale, pulling up. Then exhale, one more. Coming a fountain of boundless energy and strength. Inhale, draw it up. Exhale, relax the arm down and step up to the front. All right, grab your two blocks. And you're gonna step back. And we're gonna amp up what we were doing at the wall earlier from the knees. Now we're gonna do it from standing. So we have to kind of measure ourselves. And the first mistake that I sometimes see are the blocks being way out here. But look how my arm bones are not aligned. So you want to stack it because the bones are the densest part of the body. So not only will you be strengthening the bones with the weight bearing, but it also helps to secure the alignment and the muscles will snug in and you'll get strong through the muscles too. But what we're going to be doing is setting it up. And again, you'll have to play with it. It will all be a little bit different. Again, I don't want the foot out like this or the turn in the hips. We want to keep the sacrum even and level as the right foot steps up the wall and the hands come to secure on top of the blocks. The left ankle should be underneath your left hip, and instead of bowing your head, push through your hands, shine out with your heart, so your neck's in line with your spine. That's good, Dan. Awesome, guys. Continue to be and breathe here. And then if you want to play around to challenge yourself, if you want to sail the left arm forward and out, try that. Similar to what we did earlier on the knees. Or you can keep both hands down. Go ahead and lower that left hand. Bounce off the wall with your right foot. Set it firmly to the floor, lining in the ankle up underneath the right hip. And then taking the left foot back. So ideally, we want the leg to be pretty straight when we're pressing it into the wall. So if you feel like your knee's bending, you may need to walk out a little bit farther. Notice if your hips are rotating or turning, or if you feel the stretch in the inner thigh of the standing leg. If that's the case, you may be hiking up that left hip or turning out with your left foot. Have the toes pointed down, the heel more in line with your hip. And then if you want to explore the possibility of sitting the right arm forward, you can. Make sure it doesn't hold or restrict your breath. And then exhale, release the hands. And bounce the left foot down. Good. Now bend the knees, push through the feet to come up. All right, we're gonna come closer to the wall, and I'll show you. You're gonna be about distance of the wall with your feet that you would be in tabletop position, except your hands are gonna come up, and you're gonna bow the back and kind of sink down into your shoulders and chest. Now you're going to try to keep your sits bones aligned over the ankles. So the legs are still stacked. Arms are up, hand shoulder distance apart. And if that's too much for your shoulders, do a wall push, where the hands come down. And you're more at a 90-degree angle with your body. In fact, everyone start to do that. Go ahead and slide the hands down the wall. Walk the feet back. This is like a modified way to do downward facing dog at the wall. I've shared with you, you can also do this from your kitchen counter or the railing at your deck. Let your thighs roll in and back. Take a deep breath in. Cleansing breath out. And then slowly travel the feet forward back to the wall. All right, so you may want to look at this way. We're going to turn the body and get close enough to the wall that we're going to let the right hip touch the wall. And we're not lifting that knee any higher. We're going to keep it level with the hip. I hope you guys can see this behind me. If not, you can step out. And then make sure you feel balanced, because if the left foot's too close to the wall, you may have a harder time balancing. So you can step that away if you need to, okay? And then what we'll end up doing is sending the right arm up, the left arm forward, and then just turning the face towards the wall. And then if you wanted to continue, right arm back, left arm up, you can go a little deeper into your twist. But we're trying to keep the hips stable and sturdy and even. So first of all, just lift that right knee in line with your hip. Use the wall for support. Check your balance. Because if you need to step the right foot down and the left foot farther away, do that. Okay, if your legs are good, your balance is good, lift your right arm up the wall, turn your palm to the wall, left arm in front of you, and then just turn your face to the wall. Maybe this is all you need today. Listen to the feedback you're receiving. Acknowledge the breath and how it's flowing. And see if it's possible to lift the left arm and to slide the right arm back to what would be more 3 o'clock. And then to exit, bring the right arm back up, your left arm down, turn your face, and lower that right foot. How is that for you guys? Is it a challenge to stand on that? Okay. Don't feel like you have to do the twist. Okay. Because right now you're just building strength back up in that leg and the knee. All right, now I'll turn the other side. Lifting the left foot. No higher than the hip. Plug the right foot down. Make sure you're sturdy. You feel balanced. And then if you do, lift the left arm. And then bring the right arm up. Right now you're at 3. Maybe just turning your head towards the wall is plenty. Maybe you want to switch it to 9 o'clock. Lifting the right hand up the wall and sending the left hand back behind you. Right, stay where you are, but push your right thigh bone back. A little bit more back, so your tailbone's not so tight. There you go. Do you feel the difference? Good. All right, now to come out of that twist, lift the left arm up. Bring the right hand down, and then release. All right, we're gonna bring it down to the floor, and you're gonna wanna block. And we're going to actually face the wall here. with the knees bent and the block between the thighs. Now, one thing that I got in a bad habit of doing, another teacher pointed it out to me years ago, and it was so helpful for my low back. I was crawling my ankles in way too close to my buttocks. And that was putting more flexion in the knees than needed to be there. And it was also scrunching my low back, which was causing, I didn't realize it until I pointed it out. It wasn't painful, but it wasn't the most comfortable. And as soon as I walked my feet out and aligned them where they should be, more under the knees or slightly ahead of the knees, then I felt freedom in my low back. And I could stay up longer and I could breathe better. So just make sure you can even lift your head and kind of look around your thighs to see where your ankles place. And then once you're set up good, bring your arms beside you, palms facing down, plug the feet into the floor, start to tuck and lift. And right now we're just focused on the lower body, okay? So you're holding the block between the knees, you're pressurizing the feet, you're feeling the engagement in your hamstrings, in your glute muscles, and in your back muscles. But we're not really using the arms right now. This is more of a two-legged table. Look at your belly or sense whether or not your belly is bellowing as you breathe. And then exhale, gently roll it down. Once you roll it down, briefly pick up the feet, draw them in towards your upper body. The block can stay in place. We're going up again. All right, sink your feet back to the floor. When you sink the feet to the floor, drop your arms back beside you, palms facing down. But this time, before we lift the hips, we're going to focus on the arms. So roll the outer arms and shoulders towards the floor. When you roll the outer shoulders and arms towards the floor, you should feel a little pick-me-up at the center or cavity of your chest. And your spine is no longer flat to the floor. You feel that? Okay, good. Now keep that. Now push down through the mount of the big toes and start to elevate your hips. Now we're moving more into a bridge. This is more of a bridge when we've got the heart opening going on at the same time. If you want to go a little deeper, you can shift your weight slightly to your right arm to roll and tuck the left shoulder underneath the body, and then lean to the left arm to roll and to tuck the right shoulder a little bit more under the body, and we're not done. Send the knees and block towards the wall, and then puff the chest up towards your chin. Notice if that helps to distribute the back bend effect in Setu Bandhasana. Breathe here. One more breath. I know this makes it more intense, holding this block. Now separate your shoulders, scoop in through the belly, roll it down one vertebra at a time. Lift your feet off the floor, take that block away, set it to your side. Stack your hands on top of your knees and start to circle them around and around. Several times one direction, and then circle in the opposite direction. Then place the feet back to the floor, charge back up, slide the block underneath the sacrum this time. Find that place where it feels good to sit on the block. It's not providing, or it's providing more support than you're having to put in effort. And then see if it's possible to lift the feet up. You're close enough to the wall where you could even send them to the wall if you enjoy that more. Otherwise, take them over the hips. And now point your toes on your inhale. Flex the ankles on the exhale. Point on the in-breath. Flex on the out-breath. And do that one more round, pointing on the inhale and flexing on the exhale. Good, at this point, go ahead and lower the feet gently down. Tuck and lift away from the block. Roll down one vertebra at a time, nice and slow. Hug your knees into your belly and chest. Open out your right arm to your right side and let your knees spin off to the left. Check in to see whether or not you need a prop in between your thighs. Sometimes we need that folded blanket underneath the shoulder. If it's lifting up away from the ground. Good, inhale, draw the knees through center. And then exhale, take the knees to the opposite side. And each side is unique. You may not need a prop on one side, but you may need it on the other. So for instance, when I had a disruption with one of my SI joints, I could still roll to the left and my knees would be stacked perfectly. No gap in between. But as soon as I would roll my knees over to the right, a big gap happened. And it didn't feel the best. But when I would provide the prop, it would take that sensation away. So listen to your body's response. Continue to check in with your breath. And trust the information you're receiving. In the last class, I was sharing with everyone, when I'm giving Reiki to someone, I'm using not only the messages and visions I'm getting, but really the sensation of the energy in the different pockets of the body, and knowing this information regarding chakras and what it governs physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally. Because energy stores information, the body stores and holds information. All right, when you're ready to unroll out of that twist, we are going to set ourselves up for Shavasana. So I know we didn't do our typical gentle flow today. But I like to change it up sometimes. We're going to use the blocks and the bolster. Okay. Do you have one or two blocks? Does everybody have two? Everybody should have two. We use two. You're going to set it up on the middle part, on the back side. And then the smallest height on the front side. So it still looks like a T. It's just not as tall as we typically take it. And then you'll create a slide. Your blanket can be rolled up underneath your knees, like a heavy weight over your thighs, or a pillow under your head, unless you want to cover up. Just lay back. Change out the music here. As you're settling into this position, I want you to gaze in and up to your mind's eye at the center point of your breath. This is a place where we can set our internal concentration. This is where we can meditate if we're wanting to improve or to increase our compassion. This is where we want to focus if we're wanting to tune in to our intuitive guidance. But it's also the place of our imagination. Our imagination is linked to the spiritual realm. And for today's practice on this particular new moon, I want you to visualize your ideal future. I want you to visualize how you picture living your best life. And as you're doing this, I want you to trust that we are all being guided, that we are all being supported for our own highest good. If you have a hard time imagining what this would be, because lately I've had a hard time imagining what that would be. And so what I'm doing is I'm just building up the faith that the universe, the divine, is going to design something that's better than I can even imagine. I'm leaving it open, like an open canvas. Hearing the sound of the mindfulness bell chime. Take it as your cue to open up your breath. Bring some awareness back into your body and make slow, gentle movements, perhaps in your hands or feet. And when you're ready, coming up, roll away to one side, or you can push your palms down and use core to rise up. But find your bolster to sit on. Scoot to the edge. And if it doesn't feel good to fold the feet in, you can have your legs elongated. Sit up nice and tall. Place your hands to prayer. The light in me honors and bows to the beautiful light in each of you. Thank you guys for showing up today and making room for each other at the wall so that we can do something a little different. I do want to mention, because I haven't been mentioning it a lot, that Jen and I are teaming up to do a yoga retreat in Guatemala. And it's going to be in the most beautiful, picturesque setting, right on a lake, mountains across from us. I have heard rave reviews about this place that we're staying at. In fact, one of my friends has already done a retreat there, teacher training there, and she's going back. And she's given me a lot of tips on things to do and where to go. And she says the people that run it are amazing. They even offer Mayan astrology and different kind of rituals there. And there's like a meeting place. It's supposed to be really cool. A place where there's shopping, a hike with the waterfall, spa treatments. But what we're really excited about and what makes this one even more unique, we have contact with someone who lives close to where we'll be going, who's going to hook us up with either an orphanage or school so that we can take half of a day to go give back to some children. So, for instance, if we link up with the school, children can only go to school if they have proper shoes, pen and paper. And there's a lot of children that don't have that available. So we may just be going to give, paper and pens and shoes, like simple things like that. Or we may be teaming up with an orphanage and discovering what they need. Either one I'm excited about. If it's children, more school-age children, I'm hoping they'll even let us do some yoga with them. Should be fun to do. But we're going to kind of detail that information in the next few weeks so that we can put that out. All the information is on the New Moon website. She has a whole page on it. You can have a single room, a double room, a triple room if you wanted to bring some friends or your family. I think that's it. My AccuDetox sold out. I will be doing it again. That's coming up. But I'll do it again in a couple months in case you didn't get in. Have a beautiful rest of your day.
What's the dates of the Guatemala?
Oh, yes, September 9th through the 16th. And it'll be celebrating Jen's birthday, too.